All right, everybody, we are going to get started. Welcome to My Chemical Romance for Furries here at Eufuria 2026, the Black Pawrade. Before we get started, just a brief advisory. We will be going over a couple topics that some folks might find sensitive. During this panel, we will briefly potentially discuss substance abuse, particularly alcohol and drugs, terrorism, particularly September 11th, 2001, cancer, and suicide. Oops, sorry. As for visuals, there will be sort of stage performance-esque blood and gore, fake, and also a non-realistic spider. It's the logo that the band used on the cover of their fourth album, but I am mentioning it here just in case anyone is sensitive to those. So, without further ado, let's get started. Fun fact, this is a photo of the concert that My Chemical Romance performed here in Albany at the MVP Arena just over there in 2022. Extra fun fact, I am in this picture. If you find me, you win a prize.
Found you.
Incorrect, try again later. So, a little bit about me. Hello, my name is Shetani, my pronouns are she, her, and my persona is a king cheetah. I have been a furry since 2012, and I've been an MCR fan since 2005, 2006, give or take. The details are a little bit fuzzy. I have had the privilege of seeing MCR live 6 times in concert, 5 times before the breakup and once afterwards. And when MCR came back to Albany in 2022, I had a fursuit. I didn't before the breakup, so I took the opportunity to wear my suit down to the venue when they performed. I was not allowed to actually wear it inside, but some other furries have worn their suits at MCR shows, which is pretty cool. So, how many folks in here are already familiar with My Chemical Romance? Okay, awesome. I can just breeze through this part. We'll get going, bang, 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 we'll knock it all out. MCR is, of course, as most of you know, an American rock group formed in 2001. One cool thing about MCR, at least in my opinion, is that they have a sound that changes from album to album. Some bands kind of just stay in their niche the whole time, but one thing that I find neat about MCR is that they do have an evolving sound, so if you have friends who like different music, you can generally find either an album, if not just a particular 1 or 2 songs that pretty much anyone can enjoy from MCR's catalog. Now, music genres are fake and meaningless, and of course there's a lot of waffling about what certain categorizations mean, but generally, if you look up MCR online or on a service like Spotify, they will be classified as either alternative, rock, pop punk, or of course, emo. MCR has a fairly consistent member lineup with the exception of a cursed drummer position. We'll go into that a little bit later. And another important thing to note is that each MCR album is a concept album telling a certain story. Some of these concepts are tighter and more obvious, others are a bit looser. This is because the frontman and main lyricist, Gerard Way, is a gigantic comic book nerd. So, we begin at the foundation. Another fun fact, this is a photo from the Star Ledger newspaper in North Jersey of the September 11th attacks. And this was just a newspaper photo that was taken, and by pure happenstance, Gerard is in this picture. He is the figure all the way to the left in the light-colored jacket with a messenger bag. So, Gerard Way, the front person of MCR, studied at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. He had aspirations of becoming a cartoonist and comic book artist. He was actually in New York City on the day because he was pitching a show to Cartoon Network. It was a cartoon that would have been called The Breakfast Monkey, and they actually turned him down because they said they already had a cartoon about food. It was called Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So Gerard was present On 9/11, he witnessed the Twin Towers falling, and this event was very pivotal to him. He vowed to change, he wanted to do something with his life that would end up changing the world. So the way that he decided to do this was to start a band with his younger brother Mikey and his 2 friends Ray and Otter. So now we go into the Bullets era. This refers to MCR's first album, I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love. At this time, the lineup was Gerard Way, lead vocalist, Ray Toro, lead guitar and backing vocals, Mikey Way, Gerard's younger brother, on bass, Otter, or Matt Pelissier, on drums. This was the lineup just until they started recording. They added on Frank Iero either right before or slightly after the recording actually began because they wanted a rhythm guitarist. Frank was actually a fanboy of MCR. He was in a different band at the time called Pensy Prep. And he would come to all of MCR's practices, and he just was a fan, and they asked him to be in the band, and of course he accepted. So this is pretty much going to be the same lineup throughout the eras with just a few small changes. So the first album, I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, was released on July 23rd, 2002. It was produced by Jeff Rickley of Thursday, a name that some of you may recognize if you know a little bit more about musicians in this scene at the time. It was released through Eyeball Records, an indie label, and it was recorded in Otter's attic. So, very punk, very DIY, not many resources at this time.
Don't pander to me.
And the actual recording from this time period is known by fans as the Attic Demos. The initial pressing of this record was limited to 100 copies, and some of those copies were actually misprints that instead of being the My Chemical Romance album, it was mariachi music. So a lot of people threw them out there like, oh no, I got the wrong album, I'm gonna buy another one. So it's very, very difficult to find an actual first press of this album today. As mentioned, all of MCR's albums are concept albums. The concept of this one revolves around a Bonnie and Clyde-esque outlaw couple known as the Demolition Lovers. They endure a lot of trials and tribulations as depicted in different songs through the course of the album. They encounter drug addiction, they fight, they have a whole lot of romantic issues, and in the end, the couple is caught in a shootout in the desert, and they go out in a blaze of glory together. The band was still virtually unknown at this time. Their tour, if you can even call it that, was mostly just their manager booking them every possible show that they could squeeze into 6 months, mostly in venues like dive bars, VFW halls, garages, and basements. They finally started to get radio play on a college station, WSOU, and after that, the band really started picking up in popularity, so they were able to do another tour in late 2003 and early 2004. Here are some images of the band at the time, just so that you can get an idea of the vibe, the aesthetic that they were really going for. Nothing, well, in my opinion, nothing really too emo, or at least how most folks would understand it from the depictions that you might see here at the con today. But it's important to understand where they came from. There were 2 music videos released from the singles on this album. On the left, there's the video for Honey, This Mirror Isn't Big Enough for the Two of Us. This is just clips of the band performing, interspersed with clips from a Japanese horror film called The Audition, about a woman who dances and murders men. I don't quite know how they managed to do that. I think just a combination of the film being Japanese and copyright laws being less stringent back in 2001. And on the right, there is a clip or a screenshot from the music video for Vampires Will Never Hurt You. The band had a very, very tiny space that they recorded the music video in, and they stayed up all night spray painting those walls with black spray paint, And so while they performed the music video, they were very high on the fumes from the paint. I'm certain you couldn't tell that by looking at Gerard's expression. We are now moving on to an era that some of you may find a little more familiar, the Three Cheers era, or the Revenge era, depending on what you want to call it. This refers to the band's second album, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. The lineup is basically the same, with the exception of the drummer. So Otter recorded drums for the album. If you listen to the album, he is who you hear playing. However, shortly afterwards, he was kicked from the band. He was replaced by Bob Breyer, who was a sound technician for The Used at the time, but also a skilled drummer. So the band brought him on to replace Otter. And Bob is the drummer that you see on screen in all of their music videos and in the subsequent tour. Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge was released on June 8th, 2004 through Reprise Records, which is a subsidy of Warner Brothers. Oh boy, the band signed to a major label. This is good for them and will give them lots of publicity and surely have no negative repercussions, potentially, possibly. But yeah, this concept is a little more solid, and it continues the story of the Demolition Lovers, which the previous album was about. At this point, at the end of the previous album, if you may remember, the couple had died. So this one picks up where the woman has gone to heaven and the man has gone to hell. He makes a deal with the devil that in exchange for killing 1,000 evil men and bringing their souls to the devil, the man and the woman will be reunited in the afterlife for eternity. His quest takes him through New Orleans, the Wild West, and jail, songs that are referenced on the album. And at the end, he kills 999 evil men and realizes the last man left to kill is himself. That's very emo. A lot of touring was done for this album, most notably Warped Tour 2005. Anyone who was anyone in the scene pretty much played at Warped. MCR also played on the Taste of Chaos tour alongside The Used, a band that they had a very on-again, off-again relationship with throughout their professional careers. And they also opened for Green Day on the American Idiot tour. So here are some images of MCR's look from this time. They're starting to get a little more theatrical with it. Gerard is possibly telling the other members that he's got some ideas, and they're like, sure, Gerard, we'll go along with it. So we see a lot of experimenting with makeup, eyeshadow. These are like the most common looks that you'll see of the band at the time. The black suits and the red ties. As you may recognize if you stopped by the photo booth at the con today, you may have seen Revenge era Gerard in there that you can take a picture with. He's also out front by the charity, and you can put a bunch of stickers on him. And the bulletproof vest was also a kind of a look that's kind of popular.
No, he looks like a lesbian. I'm sorry. He looks like a lesbian.
Yeah. He basically is.
That's a whole different panel.
Many such cases. Yeah, that's a whole different. We don't have time. We don't have time
about it.
And I had to include Frank with the short hair, the side sweep, and the X's over the eyes because that's iconic. If you see people cosplaying Frank, they'll pretty much always pick this Frank. There were 3 singles from this album that got music videos. Helena, which, as I mentioned, the album was supposed to be kind of a concept album. The concept devolved a little bit because midway through recording, Gerard and Mikey's grandmother passed away. Her name was Elena, and Gerard was very close to her. She instilled in him his love for music. So the song Helena was written as a tribute to her. There's also The Ghost of You, a music video that is kind of an almost shot-for-shot remake of scenes from the World War II film Saving Private Ryan. Interestingly enough, this is one of the top most expensive music videos ever made. It cost $1 million. And on the bottom there is a screenshot from the video for I'm Not Okay. There were actually 2 videos recorded for this. One is just like clips of the band on tour and in their homes. And the other is this professional Mark Webb directed music video, which has them at a prep school doing things like eating crayons in a science lab and beating up a mascot with croquet mallets. And now, can we just take a moment to appreciate the beautiful art by James Jean here? This is the inside spread of the album when you open it up, and it's cropped to fit on the screen, but it continues, and there are characters near the end that are just absolutely gorgeous. We are now into the Black Pawrade era. This, of course, refers to their 3rd album, The Black Pawrade. Lineup at this time is pretty much the same. Gerard on lead vocals, Ray's guitar and backing vocals, Mikey's on bass, Frank's the rhythm guitar and backing vocals, and Bob is still their drummer. There were a lot of injuries during this time, mainly because the band toured for a very, very long time on this specific album. Bob hurt his wrists a lot. Bob also got badly burned filming a music video. Surprisingly, though, Bob did not need a replacement during the tour. However, 2 of the other members did. Matt Cortez filled in on tour for Mikey and Frank, respectively, when each of them had to leave due to mental health issues and a family emergency. Excuse me. The Black Pawrade was released on October 23rd, 2006, again through Reprise Records / Warner, which is going to be consistent throughout the rest of the band's release history. It was produced by Rob Cavallo and recorded in the infamous Paramore Mansion, which is located in California, rumored to be haunted. And the band experienced a very, very difficult time while recording here. Gerard suffered from awful night terrors. At the beginning of the song Sleep on this album, you can hear like a tape recorder playing a person speaking about having terrors and seeing flames and seeing visions of people that he loves dying. That is Gerard himself speaking about what he experienced there. Mikey also was very, very deeply affected by recording in this haunted mansion. He used to sleep on the floor of Gerard's room, and he had some very, had a toll on his mental health and resulted in him taking a small break from the tour subsequently. So the concept of the Black Pawrade album is probably the clearest and most opaque to anyone listening. The concept is that when you die, death comes to you in the form of your fondest memory. In this album, the main character that it centers on is a man known as the Patient. He is a former soldier, now dying of cancer. As he lies in his hospital bed, moments away from life, moments away from death, at the end of his life. Death appears to him in the form of this skeletal figure dressed in the garb of a leader of a Black Pawrade, referencing the man's most treasured memory, which was a day that he spent with his father as a young boy. And throughout the different songs of the album, we take a journey through the Patient's life. MCR performed a tour for this album, during which they played the entire album front to back in character as the titular Black Pawrade on stage in their uniforms. Gerard was in character as the band was allegedly from France or Italy, depending on where Gerard felt that they should be from that day. It was a little bit mysterious. But then they would play the whole album, go backstage, and then they would return dressed normally as themselves, as My Chemical Romance, and then play a few hit songs from their back catalog. And they toured for quite a long time, and it culminated in Mexico City on, I believe, October 30th or October 31st, Dia de los Muertos. And there, the Black Pawrade, the band, was officially killed off. Gerard announced the Black Pawrade is dead. They also recorded a live album there and had some really cool merch and a nice box set to go along with it. There was so much touring for this album that I can't even begin to go into all of it. They won a whole bunch of awards during this time. They were on a lot of TV shows, They got a lot of public play. MCR performed, just to name a few, at the Bamboozle, at Project Revolution, along with Linkin Park, and they also opened for Bon Jovi in their home state of New Jersey, which was a big accomplishment for them, and there was a little thing written about them in the local paper. So the band's look actually changed a little bit throughout this time. Immediately after the release of the album, it's probably the look that most people are familiar with, Gerard with that very short, close-cropped, white blonde hair. As mentioned, Gerard is a bit of a nerd and also kind of a method actor. So to perform this album that he was writing about a cancer patient who was dying, Gerard wanted to embody the patient and shave his head, and the record label told him he was not allowed to do that. So the closest that he was allowed to get was just cut his hair really short and dye it blonde. So if you're far enough away, he kind of looks like he's bald. Of course, it started growing out a little bit after that. They played a show on Halloween with some skeleton makeup. That was pretty cool. And then on the bottom there, you see some of their looks from later on in the tour, namely Project Revolution, when Gerard wore his iconic jacket with the very Wild West styled bandana, and during one show proclaimed himself the sheriff of Emo Town. Interestingly enough, during this time period, while they were touring together on Project Revolution, Gerard became engaged to his now wife, Lindsay, the bassist of the band Mindless Self-Indulgence. And it was a very whirlwind summer romance when both bands were performing on the same tour together. They would actually write messages on their bodies that would complete phrases. For example, Gerard would write on his neck, Lindsay wrote on her arm, "Run away with me," and Gerard wrote on his neck, "Anytime you want." Those would become lyrics in a song on a later album, etc. You can look this up online if you want, it's very cute. Oh, they also got matching spray painted t-shirts. You know those t-shirts that you can get from like the mall kiosk that's got like this rainbow unicorn on it? Yeah, they got matching rainbow unicorn shirts that said Gerard and Lindsay, and I'm pretty sure they got married in those shirts. It's very cute. Four music videos from the singles on this album. The Black Pawrade, I'm sure I don't need to go into here, the band performing in their uniforms on this parade float. Famous Last Words, which was recorded on the same day, and the music video consisted of them burning the float that they used to film Welcome to the Black Pawrade. This was the video shot that Bob actually got hurt on because he was the drummer, he was closest to the flames, and he got really badly burned by the fire. I Don't Love You, on the bottom left there, was another single that got a music video here. There's these visuals with this couple painted black and white, and the entire video is in monochrome. And there was also a video for teenagers, which depicted the band performing at a high school pep rally, and then the teenagers, the cheerleaders rather, shoot Gerard to death with guns. Rather unfortunately, this album was released, this music video was released just a couple days after one of regrettably many school shootings that we have had here in this country in recent times. I don't particularly remember which one it was. There have been a lot. But when the video came out, they had to put a message at the beginning, warning people, and you say, if you need help to call, etc. It is now time for Danger Days. If you did not learn about MCR during the Black Pawrade era, you probably learned about them during the Danger Days era. Our lineup is Gerard, Ray, Mikey, and Frank, but all of a sudden we have no drummer. What happened?
Don't need one.
Don't need one, says my co-host Kip. Well, I guess they didn't, because they never got a new permanent drummer after this. Bob was fired due to incompatibility with the band. It was announced that he was leaving, and the reason for this was not really made clear up until just a couple of years ago, after Bob unfortunately passed away. I really don't have time to get into the whole Bob situation
don't.
here, but maybe several years from now when there's like a 5th version of this panel, I can do one just about the Bob situation. So, having already suffered a loss, the band brought on a drummer named Matt Petticone, who played a couple of shows for them on tour, and then was caught red-handed stealing from the band, and also kicked out. And after that, they just never really settled on gaining a permanent drummer. The drummer position is left open, and they just have various different touring drummers assist them. Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys was released November 22nd, 2010, again through Reprise Records and produced by Rob Cavallo. The concept of this album is very different than the previous album concepts by MCR. It's a lot more colorful and exciting. It is a ray gun punk concept, post-apocalyptic world set in the far-off year of 2019. Can you guys imagine? Wow. The album is presented as a radio show hosted by an in-universe DJ called Dr. Death-Defying. He is portrayed by Steve Rye of My Chemical Romance. Oh, sorry, not My Chemical Romance.
Mindless Self-Indulgence.
Thanks.
I remember.
Yeah, good job.
You have 20 minutes, by the way. I gotta go.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so Steve Rye of Mindless Self-Indulgence, the band that Gerard's wife Lindsay is from. Jimmy Urine, the lead singer of that band, also makes an appearance in one of the music videos as a Draculoid. The conceit here is that there is this huge evil mega corporation called Better Living Industries, or shortened to Blind. Haha, get it. And they pump out drugs to control the masses, keep them happy and sedated. And they have this army that does their bidding called Draculoids, which are these guys in white suits with like rubber Halloween store Dracula masks. And the album follows 4 outlaws known as the Killjoys, and each band member got their own Killjoy Sona. Gerard is Party Poison, Ray is Jetstar, Frank is Fun Ghoul, which is really funny if you know Italian, and Mikey is Cobra Kid. And they all had their own guns, and like Mikey had like a power glove kind of weapon that he used. They really had fun coming up with their own characters, and there's a lot of stuff online. You can find like Gerard's concept art from when he designed all of the outfits for them. There was a lot of touring here, namely the World Contamination Tour, which was their global tour, and they also played on the Honda Civic Tour with Blink-182. So the band's look during this period is a lot more colorful. It's really veering off into a different direction. This kind of helped get folks into MCR who hadn't really been interested in them before, because the album sound changed so much. But also at the same time, if folks really were into MCR because of their previous sound, this album was quite different. So there's a little bit of division among the fans here, whether Danger Days is, loved or hated. It's the same band, really, and there are some great songs off of here, but it's interesting, like I said, because their sound changes so much. There are a lot of influences here that will continue to show up as we continue through the band's history. There were a lot of music videos off of this album. The one with the 4 iconic guns, as mentioned, that is the video for Na Na Na. Which kind of is just like comic book, pow, 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 punch in the face, all these quick cuts of the Killjoys and different characters in the Killjoy universe, Show Pony, Dr. Death-Defying, things that would go on to be developed in an actual comic book series about the Killjoys. So if you like this album, I recommend looking that up. Underneath that is the music video for Sing, which continues the story of the Killjoys and their, spoiler alert, unfortunate demise. The villain here, this bald fellow grabbing Gerard, he is played by one of Gerard's comic book greats, Grant Morrison, writer of Doom Patrol, which Gerard would go on to write an issue of later. And then there's the music video for Planetary Go, which is just clips of the band performing on stage, with some cool, funky effects overlaid on it. They also did a video for Sing, but that's just like concert clips, and it wasn't very interesting. So instead I added a screenshot from the music video for Desolation Row, a Bob Dylan cover that the band did for the film The Watchmen, and it plays during the credits. So we are now in what is referred to by fans as the conventional weapons era. As I mentioned, the band never picked up a drummer, so it's just Gerard, Ray, Mikey, and Frank at this point. Conventional Weapons is not a full album, but it's a series of 5 singles, 2 songs each, so a total of 10 songs that were released in a period between October 2012 and February 2013. The band did a little more touring during this time, not too much. They played at the Big Day Out Festival in Australia, and they also played at the Bamboozle, their final show being in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And here are some images of how they looked during this period. There weren't any singles or music videos, as I mentioned, because this wasn't really a full album. So here are just a picture of some of the 5 albums themselves. As mentioned, it's called Conventional Weapons. So each one is a picture of a different weapon. So on March 22nd, 2013, MCR announced that the band was breaking up. This came as quite a shock to many people. Gerard wrote a very long blog post discussing this, and essentially saying that there wasn't really a reason, there was no, as he says, argument, failure, accident, villain, or knife in the back that caused the band to break up. Later on, he would go on to say that he felt like My Chemical Romance only existed when the world needed them, and when they felt that they were no longer needed, they simply disappeared. So after the breakup, some of the members would go on to release some solo content. Gerard recorded a solo album called Hesitant Alien. Ray recorded a song called Remember the Laughter, which is really nice because he's not the lead singer in MCR, and while you hear him on all of the albums and he's got a very nice and unique voice, he's always playing second fiddle to Gerard. So it's just nice to hear a song where he's featured, and that's pretty cool. Frank joined other bands as he is wont to do. That guy is always in a whole bunch of other bands. Ellis, Dunes, Death Spells, a whole bunch of other stuff. There were a lot of anniversary releases and cock teasing from the label. They would announce something like, new My Chemical Romance release dropping soon, and people were like, whoa, what is it? Is the band getting back together? And it's like, no, it's just a 10-year anniversary release of the Black Pawrade. Oh, something else, what is it? No, it's just 10-year re-release of Danger Days. Okay, cool. They did put out a greatest hits album, which included all of, as mentioned, their greatest hits, but there was one new track on there, a song called Fake Your Death, which is very interesting because surely MCR never puts meaning into any of the music they release, right? No, surely not. So now we are getting into the aborted return. On October 31st, if you've noticed, this band has a bit of a thing for Halloween. On October 31st, 2019, MCR announced that they were going to be getting back together and playing some shows. They did play a couple shows overseas, but and they were going to do a whole reunion tour, but unfortunately COVID, so this got delayed and also delayed a second time. There was a lot of really interesting imagery during this time period that, like, there were these ciphers that the fans decoded, and they drew a pentagram based on the cities that MCR was going to play in and in what order. Like if you drew a line between all of them, it would make a pentagram. And there were the trailers, as you saw before, of the guy in the skull mask, and there were figures in these hooded robes. We'll never really know what the band wanted to do because they completely moved on from this. And they finally began to tour again with a tour called Swarm. In 2022, they released The Foundations of Decay, which was their first new single since the reunion, a very heavy song. And they played on the Swarm Tour, which is when MCR last came to Albany. So one cool thing about the looks during this time is that Many years have passed since MCR broke up, and they are a worldwide, highly acclaimed rock group with a lot of money. And this means that they have a lot more resources, and Gerard started wearing a bunch of costumes on stage, many of which were designed by Maria Toybina, and he experimented with a whole bunch of different looks. I do not have time to get into all of them here, but it's very interesting, especially some of the reasons why he chose the costumes that he did. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get through this really fast. Long live the Black Pawrade, okay? Here we are in the current time. It's 25 years since the release. They still don't have any new music out, but they are playing another tour, which is going the Black Pawrade album again. They're once again playing the whole album front to back in character, followed by an out-of-character performance as MCR. Whereas most other bands, in my opinion, would probably just rehash what they'd already done, MCR completely rewrites the storyline of the Black Pawrade album. It no longer talks about the patient. It's about something completely different. And this is such an elaborate performance that it's really honestly more of a stage play set to music. This time, the concept of the Black Pawrade is that it takes place in a fictional dystopian dictatorship with very Eastern European trappings called Drag, led by a figurehead named the Grand Immortal Dictator. As you may recall, at the end of the Black Pawrade tour, Gerard announced that the Black Pawrade was dead. Well, the Grand Immortal Dictator has resurrected the band, 52nd Regiment of the Black Pawrade, and he is forcing them to play for him and spread his nationalistic propaganda. There is a lot of speculation about this. The band seems to be decaying. They may be caught in a time loop. There's a lot of interesting stuff to play with here. And the show is intercut with scenes such as an interactive execution involving audience participation. Whenever you go to see one of the shows on this tour, you are given a two-sided card printed on one side with yay and the other side with nay. And partway through the show, they pause to have an execution where actors of course, come up on stage, and the most exalted vocalist, the fan name for the character that Gerard plays, the front man, asks the audience whether they should or should not be killed. And regardless of how the audience votes, they always do die. There was one performance where the people brought up to be killed were dressed like the members of MCR themselves, which could mean nothing. The yay or nay cards, they did some interesting stuff with. At a couple shows, they both said yay on both sides, so there's really no opportunity to vote no. At another show, they said things like chicken or fish instead of yay or nay. So there's some fun stuff going on here. Nuclear missiles being launched. Oh boy, that's great, isn't it? You can see the trajectory on the screen in the back there during sleep. And there is a rocket with some weird letters written on it. What is that? Well, that says drag, in a language called Kaposhka, which was made up entirely for this universe. Because, like I mentioned, Gerard Way is a huge comic book nerd. So he commissioned Nate Piekos, who is an esteemed letterer for comics, to come up with this entire language. And the band also communicates via this language on screens during the performance. There are rules written in Kaposhka. The band has also written like notes to the fans in Kaposhka. They've tossed candy bracelets like this off of this stage with beads that people decoded, and they said, please help us. So yeah, there's some really fun stuff going on here. Television propaganda and game shows that distract and brainwash the citizens, like Quizzo, hosted by our favorite guy, Gorgovic Palomar, and Gentleman Castle. And this show culminates with the band being kidnapped by the regime and the most exalted vocalist, the Gerard character, being assassinated live on stage in case the previous execution wasn't enough death for you at your rock concert that you're going to with mom and dad. There is a very rich cast of characters in this performance. I truly cannot go over all of them, so greatest apologies if I have missed your favorite. But some of the more notable ones are the clerk, this little guy who enforces the grand immortal dictator's will with bureaucracy and corporal punishment when that fails. He will often force the most exalted vocalist to put his Black Pawrade jacket on and keep performing when the vocalist doesn't really want to do that. Surely there's no deeper meaning to be read into here, and he'll like smack him around if he doesn't listen. Marianne and Sylvia. So in the actual album, The Black Pawrade, the track Mama has a vocalist part which is sung in the recording by the esteemed Liza Minnelli. During the performance of Long Live the Black Pawrade on stage, this is sung by either Marianne or Sylvia, except very recently, like right before I made this, they actually appear on stage together for the first time. Sylvia is completely blind, or excuse me, Marianne is completely blind, and Sylvia is sighted in only one eye. They are singers, they are twins, and there's some kind of sibling rivalry there. They don't really like each other very much. They are under the protection of the grand immortal dictator. The gentleman is a ventriloquist dummy that the most exalted vocalist carries around. Oftentimes they treat him like a child, like they treat him nicely, except when they don't, and the vocalist will sometimes throw him around and stuff. The clown is a character who comes out at the end while the hidden track off of the Black Pawrade, Blood, is played over the speakers and stabs the most exalted vocalist to death. He then does a funny little haha clown striptease and opens up his jacket to reveal a suicide bomber vest and blows himself up on stage. During the second leg of the tour, there were a couple changes. This one is actually a prequel to the first. It shows kind of how the band got to the point where they are. It shows them in a mental institution, being medicated and conditioned, and there are a lot of themes of surveillance here, such as the very big brother eye watching them. It also takes pictures of the band while they're performing. Some of the same characters recur in new roles. For example, Sylvia here is a doctor or a head nurse, giving them their medication and making sure they do as they're told. The gentleman is a real person now. He's very disturbing, and he hosts a Mr. Rogers-esque children's TV show called Castle Gentleman. And whereas in the previous leg of the tour, the clown would kill Gerard, here, the clerk, which I neglected to mention previously, but the clerk and the clown are portrayed by the same actor, which, of course, anything MCR does, I believe, has deeper meaning. Oftentimes in performances of Peter Pan on stage, Captain Hook and the children's father, it's the same actor shared. So I feel like there's something going on there. It's not, coincidence. It's not that, oh, they couldn't afford to pay another actor. Come on, there's something going on here. But anyway, the clerk is killed by the vocalist in a very theatrical finale involving Kurosawa-esque levels of fake blood gushing out and also a bunch of entrails being ripped out and strewn all over the place. It seems like they're really having a lot of fun here. So, why am I giving this panel here? Well, it turns out there's a lot of overlap between furries and MCR fans. Since we live in a day and age when we can talk to our favorite celebrities on the internet directly, this part is going to be a little bit heavily Gerard focused, simply because he was like the most prolific band member who would actually post online. It's difficult to really get information about the other members, and I tried to be as level as I could and not have this be, the Gerard show, but he's the front man, and when he was tweeting, he would just tweet all the dang time, so we've just got a lot of material for him. So he has asked directly about furries, whether there's any harm in dressing up in an animal costume. He has also, in a very endearing parent-type way, suggested that if you dress up as a veterinarian at furry cons, it would be cool because you could, help people get around in their costumes and run the place, which is very cute. He also, I don't have a picture here, but he said, do people ever dress up as Chewbacca there? And Gerard has directly interacted with some furries about being furries. Haunted Phantom has a Fursuit Killjoy Coyote, which they designed after the Danger Days album. And Gerard, we have confirmed, has seen the Killjoy Fursuit and thinks it's cool, which is super duper awesome. Gerard also had this weird period where he just randomly tweeted pictures of fursuit legs. So clearly he was looking these up for some reason. I don't really know. No context. There's no text in any of this, but he just tweeted some fawn legs one day. And there's also been the character Mouse Cat in Danger Days, which is essentially a mascot head or fursuit head, if you want to interpret it that way. And it's worn by Party Poison, who is the Gerard self-insert character. Also, during the breakup, when Gerard released his album Hesitant Alien, he was kind of backing off of social media a bit. Gerard did fully quit Twitter a couple of years ago, which I think is the best option, of course, because Twitter is just awful. But he doesn't really post online very much anymore. During this period, there was a secondary Twitter account created for this character called Lola, who, as you can see, is this pink monkey character that Gerard created as sort of a self-representation. It's not been confirmed, but there's heavy speculation and evidence to suggest that the person tweeting on this account during this time was Gerard, and not like an intern or somebody else at the label. So it's a character that you make up and you perform through and interact with people, which basically, in my opinion, counts as a fursona, really. Also, the character Lola uses she, her, or she, they pronouns, which could mean nothing. All of the MCR members are known animal lovers who share or have shared their lives with pets. We've got Ray here with his dog Bower, Gerard's 2 cats, a sweet Mitchell and Lotion, and Mikey Ray with his cat Bunny. Bunny was really more of Alicia's cat, but anyway. Frank is a notorious dog lover. He has rescued too many dogs to count. I can't even put all of the dogs in this presentation. So instead, you have a screenshot from a Dodo video that they made of this person who family found baby turtles in their backyard and raised them, and they credited him as Frank, Turtle Rescuer. I was like, what? That's Frank from My Chemical Romance, what? So yeah, he's been on the Dodo, and Bob, their drummer who passed away, was known by all as an avid lover of dogs, even when he was a very misanthropic figure and wasn't always the most people type of person. He was known for just being the greatest dog lover. During the period when he was not a member of the band, he would sometimes pop up to sell some of the items that he still had from his tenure, like his instruments or his Black Pawrade jacket. And whenever he did that, he would always donate the profits to a dog rescue. Like, this is the picture that he put up for the auction of his Black Pawrade jacket. You can see it, he put it right on his dog. Furries are very queer, and so are MCR fans. Gerard has actually held a trans flag on stage, but I couldn't find like a super clear picture of that, so instead you've got him with the feminist vibes and also the trans flag. And then there's Frank wearing a pride flag as well. So it's kind of important to mention this. The MCR members would, which as far as we know, they're all men, they would show affection on stage, and they would also kiss on stage, particularly Frank and Gerard, which is known in the community as stage gay. Whereas today, this isn't really that big of a deal. We have to remember that back in the 2000s, being openly gay was incredibly unsafe. Gay marriage was still illegal, and this was not really a thing that was done. Also, the music scene still had a really big homophobia problem. So by doing this, MCR was putting a target on their backs, but they felt it more important to indicate to their fans that this was a safe space. So if you were a young person or older person listening to My Chemical Romance and you could not be out in your, in your daily life, to your friends, to the people at school, to your family, you could have some solace here and know that, MCR was just a safe space for queer folks, and it always has been. Playing with gender roles has always been a hallmark of MCR. Gerard is very known for being public about the fact that when he was an art student in his college days, he would often wear dresses. And he didn't for a very long period, and then recently on the Swarm tour, he has worn a lot of costumes and a lot of outfits that included dresses. Frank has also worn a dress, which I didn't really know until I researched for this presentation, which is cool. And of course, MCR's lyrics, there's a lot that could be interpreted there, which I don't really have time to because they're turning the lights on, so I've got to get through this really quick. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you guys that we furries are so creative and we include inspiration from the things that we love, the bands, the music in our art. I could not possibly put every MCR themed piece of art in this presentation, but it's so important to, be inspired and to create and to love and to feel music through what you make. If you're interested, the MCR community, MCR Furries community specifically, is kind of small and quiet. We're still here. So if you want to hop in and join, sometimes we have meetups at conventions whenever they let us. And if they don't let us, we have our own meetups anyway. Also, while you're here at Eufuria, please go over to the vendor hall if you can. There are some vendors selling MCR themed stuff. Candy Critters has this really cool Demolition Lovers Furries art as a sticker, and I believe they also have it as a print. Ghoul Cat is selling Black Pawrade Fursuit spray, and regrettably the image did not make it into this presentation, but Primrose Kennel Club also has a desk mat with MCR art on it. Yep, absolutely. Before you leave Albany, if you came here for the con, if you want to go to some MCR themed places, head on over to the Egg right up here at Empire State Plaza. The Egg was featured on an MCR shirt as a depiction of Prague, where, the Grand Immortal Dictator is. My partner and I went out there with the shirt, and we, in our Black Pawrade cosplays, and took a picture with it. Also, if you want to head over to the Fuse Box on Central Ave, it's this really cool little music joint. They have shows and stuff there. They've also got this really sick-ass mural on the back wall by a local artist called Judas Vesper, and it goes through the eras of MCR, including the return. It's really neat. You should head over there and check it out. Yay! Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.